Welcome to this week's episode of the Inside Kingston podcast, where experienced professionals, entrepreneurs, and community leaders based in Kingston upon Thames are invited on to share their story with us. I'm your host, Amir Rocha-Lima.
This week's episode of the Inside Kingston podcast is brought to you by Holland Harnham Wills, a financial planning and wealth management firm based in Kingston upon Thames. Holland Harnham Wills specialises in retirement planning for senior professionals and successful business owners. Visit hhw-uk.com to start feeling more relaxed and confident about your financial future.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of the Inside Kingston podcast. I'm joined today by Sam Berry. Sam and his wife Alex are the owners of Number 97, a gin bar, restaurant and terrace in Surbiton. What's unique about Sam is how he's always seeking interesting concepts and ideas and combining this with the hard work required to implement them. And over these last 3 years, they have opened another 2 restaurants which are thriving as a result of their popularity with the local neighbourhood. And be sure to listen to the end, where Sam shares the business and life lessons that have enabled him to create his own pathway from bartender to restauranteur. So whether you're interested in knowing more about what it takes to run a successful independent restaurant, or would like to know more about how to get the most out of a career in the hospitality industry, then I hope you enjoy this episode of the Inside Kingston podcast. Welcome, Sam Berry, to the Inside Kingston podcast. Sam, I'm really excited about this conversation because not only am I a self-confessed foodie, and therefore it's always great to speak to a restaurant owner, but it's also great to get to speak to another young local entrepreneur, which, if nothing else, will hopefully inspire other listeners to take action on their own business plans too. But to kick off this conversation, I'd like to go back in time, if that's okay. So where did you grow up?
Was born in Rains Park, so not too far from Kingston upon Thames, and then moved to Surbiton when I was about 11, and grown up in Surbiton since then, and still live in Surbiton to this day. Awesome.
Did you go to university?
I managed to go to university for all of 3 weeks before I decided it wasn't for me, and got out quite quickly.
Fair enough. So could you tell us a little bit about your career journey before setting up your business?
So I was a very keen snowboarder and went and did the season air lifestyle for about 5 years, sort of travelling over the world. Came back, realised it wasn't probably enough for me to keep going, and tried a few office jobs. Again, wasn't quite me. Thought university might be the right move for me, but found I always struggled learning in a big room full of other people, and just thought instead of committing and wasting 3 years that I knew I wouldn't sort of get back, dropped out and started as a barback, as a sort of pot washer in the hospitality industry, and then moved to Revolutions in Richmond, or Vodka Revs as most people know it, and worked my way up from barback to assistant manager from Richmond to Clapham over the space of about three years, and then finally came across this little restaurant or bar in Surbiton, and said that this is what I enjoy. This is, me making drinks. My background was bartending. It's sociable. I love the kind of the thrill of making drinks and making people happy. That was kind of where I fell into what I knew I wanted to do.
That's quite an amazing story, Sam, and there's quite a bit I want to unpack in there.
Yeah.
Especially perhaps for some of our younger listeners. So as the saying goes, there's more than one way to skin a cat, of course.
Yeah.
And what I think people perhaps don't always realise is that all of these different industries, and the hospitality industry in your case is a great example, they have their own internal career tracks. don't they? That one can take advantage of.
100%. And I think, some people, they prefer to work for independents, but the plus side to these bigger companies and these bigger chains is they do have those management schemes in place where if you want to get involved with it, they will happily put you through the place. And I think, although Vodka Revolutions has maybe not such a good reputation anymore, I think it's still one of the very, very good places that will invest in their staff. And I've learned from where I am now, can only say it's from learning from them. Of course, it needs you to put in the hours and the want as well. But if you want it, you can get it and you can achieve it with these companies.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think university is always one of those ones where if it's you'll know it's for you or you won't. But if you're willing to put in the work, I feel that you can get the experience just as quickly from missing university and starting up at the bottom of these companies.
Yeah.
But again, you as an individual will know whether it's right or not for you.
Yeah, agree 100%. Which sort of brings us to the point where you then got the idea to set up your business.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about that and then how you went and implemented that idea.
I think everyone's dream is to sort of try and start something up that they believe in, and everyone believes they have the right concept and right product. And kind of growing up in Surbiton, there was never a place that I'd particularly want to go. I'd always like to go to the city and find all these fun bars and amazing restaurants that are sort of bringing a different concept. And I feel around the Surrey area, well, if you live in Surbiton, you say London.
Yeah.
But I think it's that in the suburbs a little bit more. That was kind of what was missing. And kind of that's what we wanted to bring, kind of the city feel, but still stay close to our roots in the suburbs and try and offer something that's fresh, seasonal, local and personal. That's what people want as an experience.
True. So it strikes me that you're a young guy, and any of your customers will also look at you and think you're a fairly young guy.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about the imposter syndrome or the sort of fear factor that you went through from going to, well, I work for these folks and I do what I love, to I'm going to actually own the joint and actually take the risk of owning the joint myself.
Yeah, it's daunting. It's crazy, but I think that's what I thrived off. And for me, failure is not an option. You just gotta work even harder, put the hours in, and kind of learn what your customers want. You've always got to be adaptable. I think that's the biggest thing, is you need to adapt to each situation, and you need to make sure every single customer that comes through that's at the end of the day is adding to your success, and they need to leave happy. But a large part of it is giving up your life to invest into this business. And if you're ready for that, then it will always be a success.
That's awesome. Hard work doesn't hurt, right, Sam?
No, and I think, these days I think it's people think it's a little bit easier. It's not. If anything, competition is as tough as ever. And if you're not going to commit, then I would say wait until you're ready.
So, Sam, this brings this conversation to the present. Could you tell our listeners a little bit about your businesses today?
Yeah, so we started number 97. Each of the restaurants is named after the street address, so each one features. That's kind of become the brand. For number 97, we were umming and ahhing about a name for so long. Our branding designer said, get a bloody move on and pick a name. And I said, right, we're going to call it number 97. At the beginning, it was the wrong decision, because then all the little bits that I didn't think about was the street address. There's lots of numbers with that in on Google and web searching, but now we're established. It's worked out for the best. But so yeah, number 97 is the baby. We opened it 3 years ago. Unfortunately, kind of created a big hype about it, stalled the opening, and kind of made people more and more wary we were there. And then a year and a half later, another restaurant in Teddington came available. Beautiful location on the corner, and I think if it wasn't there, we wouldn't have taken it on. But places like this don't come up very often, and we kind of just said, look, let's go for it. Let's jump at the chance. We're busy in the other restaurant. And kind of took the concept over to Teddington, which is called 114 on the high street there. Again, amazing location. And then about four months ago, the restaurant next to us, the owner retired, and having a good relationship with him, offered it to us. He was always busy and we were always busy, so we kind of thought, we'd bring a different concept in. And then here we are, really.
That's fantastic.
3 years on.
So for the benefit of our listeners, let's break down those concepts if we can. So number 97 and number 114, they're fairly similar. So tell us about the concept.
They're fairly similar. So the concept for it is the interiors are very modern, very comfortable, all on show. That I love having everything on show. It creates a bit of theatre, and I think for me it's not just being a restaurant, it's being an experience when you come to us, and they share very similar qualities, although number 97, I say, it's a little bit louder, it's a little bit smaller, it's a little bit more buzzy. We tried to replicate that feel in Teddington, but the clientele is different.
All right.
They'd rather a little bit quieter lunches and stuff like this. So we had to adapt pretty much straight away. But now they've both found their feet, and we know our customers. I think that's a big part, is knowing your customers and not being scared to sort of, yes, you want to take your concept and roll with it, but you have to be adaptable.
And how about the concept behind Cento Uno?
So Cento Uno is it's an Italian. We like to say modern Italian. Again, we're taking the fresh interior look, keeping it all on show. Although I'm not Italian, half my kitchen team were Italian for the other restaurants, and kind of thought, we've got a good team around us here. Let's bring them next door. As I said, he was busy and we were busy next door. So if anything, it's bringing more people to the road. And no one is dining at your restaurant 6 nights a week. They will mix it up. And it's allowed us to sort of corner that end of the road, really.
That's fantastic. Now, Sam, full disclosure to our listeners here, I've eaten at all 3 of the restaurants. I'm a big fan of what you guys do. And it's fair to say that one thing that seems consistent across the locations is the great team that you have in each one of those locations. Could you tell us a little bit about the process of building a team and more so instilling a sense of community or importance in the team so that they operate the way your teams operate?
Yeah. Staffing is, well, for any business, I'd say, is the biggest thing. It's very hard. You're putting your hat, the fate of the business in these people. And for me, I think I am maybe younger than other restaurateurs, and having worked as a kitchen porter or as a bar back and all these jobs, I think I make sure I'm on the shop floor every night, at least in one of the restaurants. And I think for the team to see that, it's, a little bit of mutual respect that, I'm not someone just sort of at home waiting for everything to happen. I'm there, I spend my time with the team. We look after them. We pay them well, which always helps. Well, I like to think we do anyway. I'm sure they might say something else. And we look after, we take them on staff days out. We're a family. And I know a lot of places say we've got that family feel, but for us, I generally think the staff we're a tight-knit family that are all infused by the hospitality industry, and I think that's rare to find these days.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned there, obviously, that being staffing being an issue for, as you said, any business, really, let alone the restaurant business. Are there any other sort of typical issues that small restaurants in particular, or small local neighbourhood restaurants in particular, have to tackle, and perhaps that you have tackled in a particular way?
I think, as I said, you've got to know your customer. You can't please everyone, and I think that's a big thing that we've realised is you have to stick a little bit to your guns. You have to be adaptable, but at the end of the day, it's impossible to do everything. So you need to focus on one part of it, and consistency. If you're not consistent, the customers won't return. And I think that's the biggest thing, is to focus on is consistency, not just in the restaurant, but any business again.
So let's unpack that consistency piece a bit. We've talked about the team and how you treat them, and therefore the mutual respect means they probably treat you and your customers that same way.
Yeah.
When it comes to the actual food, how do you and your chefs think about the food to create consistency, but also a great experience for the customer?
So we're kind of known for serving a short menu. The reason for that is it means everything is bought in fresh, everything is local, everything is seasonal, which is a great thing to be able to offer. Nothing is frozen. We don't have freezers in the restaurant. And that allows us always, as from the chef's point of view, always to be adapting, always to be trying new techniques. And we're very open with our customers. If something doesn't work, we will take it off the menu and we will learn from it. Being seasonal is kind of the best way we look at it. And it also brings the customers back because we don't put the same dish on, especially for number 97 and 114, which are a little bit more, I don't like the word fine dining, but casual fine dining, I guess, is the kind of offering that we're giving there.
Yeah.
Seasonality is the focus.
Absolutely. Can I ask, again, for the benefit of our listeners, how do you or your team think about the wines and also the beers? And I think the beers probably mainly in Centro Uno, but how do you think about the drink that goes with the food?
Obviously, you always want to have interesting offerings, something that sets you apart from your competitors as such. You want to offer something new. We meet as many suppliers and producers as possible. We sit down, we taste, we liaise with the chefs a lot. But in each restaurant, I have a bar manager. My background being drinks, I love to get involved with it. And yeah, we don't sort of keep the same stuff on. We try and rotate it or bring in new things. If we love something, we want to share it with our customers. We want to introduce it to people. And it's just constantly tasting and having that passion to look for a new product.
So let's talk a little bit about gin.
Yeah.
Because that's a big theme in at least 2 of your 3 restaurants. Yeah. Why gin? Why did you come up with that idea? Not only as a decoration piece, it's amazing in terms of the look of the restaurant, but actually gin is hot topic right now.
So yeah, we're definitely in a gin boom, and we've kind of been slowly in that boom for the last 5-6 years. As a bartender, I think it's a fantastic spirit. Gin is technically vodka, but it's got so much more to it. There's different flavours, and from cocktails to just tasting the gin and tonics, there's just so much diversity with it. Of course, we're in this fantastic gin boom, so we're riding that wave a little bit. And not to say that we won't always be gin. We might look at something else, but I think a key part for the bar industry is everything, and the restaurant is trends. Trends come and go so quickly, and I think that comes back down to being adaptable. Rum is on the horizon for sure. So not to say we wouldn't become a rum bar, but maybe we'd introduce a few in there and kind of move with the times.
Yeah. Okay. Adaptability. That's a great point to labour on, I guess, in this conversation. Is it applicable to any business?
Any business, and I think a prime example, and this what I personally think people might think other things, but the chains, you're hearing about all these chain restaurants closing down, and they've been doing the same thing for the last 10-15 years, same menu, and all that's happened is it gets cheaper and cheaper and cheaper, the quality goes, and people are bored. People 10 years ago, they were thriving, but now people want the independent places. They want to go where they can have a different experience. They want to try something new. And again, it's being able to chop and change and see what is coming next. We're in the moment where street food is very popular. We've done a few pop-ups up in London, just dipping our toe in to see what. We've got a vegan pop-up in Brixton, one in Wandsworth, where sustainability is a huge thing now. People want to know the good for the world, and of course we want to try and be part of that. Every little bit helps.
Which brings us to a point where I want to go back onto something you said earlier around your industry being very competitive. Now, you and I first met at a networking event at the Kingston Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah.
Could you tell us a little bit about how you think of customer acquisition and actually becoming attractive to more and new customers?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of being competitive, there's always other restaurants, there's always other bars out there. For me, where we're located, though, we've kind of got these small boutique high streets where, if anything, I think it's friendly competition because we're creating such a hype in the road. Take Surbiton, you've got the Antelope, you've got the French Table, all established places, and it just it becomes a destination.
Absolutely.
So I think we help each other, if anything, and we're not afraid to recommend other places in the street to our customers. But you've got to stay on it, like the networking events and Kingston Chamber. You know, people, you need to be part of the community. You know, the community's there, and they're there to help you, and you need to get involved with all these community events.
Absolutely. Sam, let me ask you this: what are some of the key business lessons that you've learned throughout your life?
Don't take anything for granted. Don't expect to open a business and it to take off from day dot, however good you think your concept is. And justifying, if you can justify the quality, the price and the experience, the customers will come. But yeah, I think staffing as well. Staffing, don't try and scrimp on the staffing part, at least at the beginning, until you know where you are. You need to, for me, I've always said, you need to invest for people to invest in you, and that's for the customer. If you're not going to invest in your business, then why should the customer come and spend money at your place?
I haven't really properly given your wife a shout out.
Yeah.
So what's her role with you?
So, well, if we go back, I met Alex in working at Revolutions. She worked up in the city for one of the other restaurants, other bars, and we just met each other through working together for a little bit, and then the relationship developed from there. And she's always been in the hospitality industry as well, so kind of always knew the hard work and the hours that go into it. And then she wanted, stupidly on her part, be part of the journey that we kind of went and opened our own place. And her role, you know, she's done everything from being on the shop floor like me as well, to doing the marketing and all the business side of it as well. Her current role is dealing with the bookings. You know, it's such a full-on job. Fortunately, we've got so many inquiries and always looking for new things where, you know, she's created this mixologist on the move concept where we can't wait for people to come to the restaurants. We might need to go and get there, or we need to go outside. So we've started this events company called The Good Life, or Mixologist on the Move, and she's a large part of that. She's enjoying life. She runs the days, and I do the nights. We don't see each other, but that's why we have Mondays off. We close all restaurants on a Monday to try and find that time to catch up.
When you look back at your career journey to date, what are you most proud of?
I'm proud of where me and the wife have got to in 3 years, for sure. Although I'm like to believe I'm quite a humble person, and might not show it, but to sort of look at what we've achieved in 3 years is, for me, it's showing what hard work can do. I think it's for my own sane, keeping me sane, is that it hasn't been wasted. I guess, you know, but my time has been all going in the right direction. Number 97 and 114, we got in Open Table's top 50 restaurants in the UK for fine dining. To have 2 restaurants in that list, again, is a huge feat. And, you know, we weren't chasing it. It's just natural. And I think all of our marketing and stuff like that, it comes from the customers. It's all word of mouth, and we've built that up, and that comes back down to the consistency. And number 97 just got best local restaurant in the whole of Southwest London and Surrey.
Wow, congratulations.
In September. And these are all the little bits, it's not for our customers, although the customers vote and support us. We're always humble and very thankful to them. But for me, it's the staff love it. Not just for me. It gives back to the staff to say, you've worked hard, you've helped us achieve this, and they all feel part of that journey.
Yeah, that's absolutely great. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
What next for you and your businesses? Are there any projects in the pipeline that you can tell us about?
The problem with me is I can't sit still, and I always want to be going forward. And this is where we've kind of, looked at these little street food pop-ups and everything like that. For me at the moment, no, I think I'm going to just focus on the free. Because we've opened 3 restaurants in 3 years, I think it's time just to make sure that they are being the best we can, make sure the sales are all there, and that we're pushing in terms of the 3 restaurants. Although the dream is to open a cocktail bar, take the food element out of it, and open just a really cool bar, whether it's in the area or we're looking at Barcelona as well, but we'll see. That's a long-term goal.
Watch this space.
Yeah, exactly. But I think you've got to have an end goal, and you've got to have, at the end of the day, it's got to be the dream.
So as we start to wrap up, I'd like to ask you a few quick fire questions that our listeners are always interested in.
Yeah.
What do you do to relax outside the office?
I don't really get time to relax. I think my wife hates it, but I can't really ever find time to switch off. I'm always thinking about the businesses or what I'm going to do next, and I find it very hard to sit still. But I guess just going to check out new places. I love seeing what other people are doing, and trying to find new hot restaurants and bars and I always love going into London. I think London is an incredible, beautiful city with a lot going on.
Can't get bored of London. That's just a reality.
You can't get bored of London, and I love going in there and discovering what people are doing. And also it brings back ideas, that the suburbs maybe don't catch up on as quickly.
Mm. Are there any movies or TV shows that you've recently watched that you'd recommend to our listeners?
I love watching the Chef's Table series on Netflix, especially the first season. It's just super passionate guys in the industry, so I love watching stuff that I can relate to. But these guys are just sort of pushing in their industry. And, you see the hard work that they've put in and what they've finally achieved. Apart from that, I normally get in at about 2 a.m, so it's normally something crap that I don't really watch, but something just to try and take the mind off and try and just relax before I go to bed.
Finally, where can people go to find out more about you and your businesses?
Well, come and experience it firsthand at one of the restaurants for sure. So 2 in Surbiton and 1 in Teddington. Or check us out on one of our websites. I guess we can put the link in there. But come and see what we're about. Really, I'd say is the main thing there.
And for the benefit of our listeners, I'll make sure I link up your websites on the show notes. Sam, thank you for joining us here on the Inside Kingston podcast.
Thank you for having me.
It's been a pleasure getting to know your story.
That wraps up another episode of the Inside Kingston podcast. Make sure to check out our guests' website, pay them a visit, and help spread the word about what they're doing. If you have any questions or know someone who should be a guest on the show, please feel free to get in touch. I would also love it if you could go to iTunes and leave us a review and a 5-star rating. We work hard to bring on some great guests, and getting a review from you is one way to help the podcast rate well on iTunes so that others can find and enjoy the show too. Thanks for listening.